Joining me now to discuss is Mark Lowery. He's a former U.S. Secret Service agent, spending 24 years with the agency before retiring as the senior executive service appointed special agent in charge in Texas. Good morning to you, and so glad that you could be with us. I want to get the 30,000-foot view from you. First of all, what is your reaction to all that has unfolded since Saturday night?
Well, like most Americans and Canadians, I was shocked by the incident. I'm waiting desperately, actually, to see what the investigation unfolds as far as the counter sniper team and the high ground issue. Overall, I think the shift did a wonderful job covering and evacuating the president. But I'm too very anxious about what they determine in this investigation on that high ground issue.
We had a map. I don't know if we can pull it up, but it shows just how close the buildings were to where President Trump was speaking at the rally. There it is. Thanks so much. It's incredible. It's 400 feet. Who would be, Mark, responsible for securing that area where ultimately the shooter ended up? Would it be local police? Would it be Secret Service? Who's in charge there of that jurisdiction?
The Secret Service is in charge. Their overall planning and advance work would have encompassed that building as a consideration. The counter sniper team would have taken that building into consideration. You know, the teams go in on an advance several days, sometimes as much as 7 days, depending on their schedule. They may not have 7. They would have advanced this entire site in a number of different components, counter sniper being one of them. That building obviously is a critical threat level, even though it's outside the perimeter. And from what we've seen on the news and talking to others, that the counter sniper teams were positioned and would have been able to cover that building. Now, they also may have posted someone on that building. That post could have been an agent, Secret Service employee, or it could have been a local law enforcement officer. We don't know. We don't know if they had posted it. We don't know if they were just going to cover it with the high ground coverage from counter sniper. Either way, that building became an obvious threat that played out, and everybody's unfortunate the citizen was killed in this incident. That's terrible. The Secret Service agents that did this site will take responsibility for that. This will haunt them the rest of their lives, because when people come to these rallies, they do not expect to be hurt. They do not expect to be killed. Their authority is to protect the president. But that building clearly is in line of sight of the podium. That clearly was a threat. I'm confident this counter sniper teams would have had that covered. What happened? Why it wasn't covered? Did someone, not execute their job according to the plans? I too am waiting for the investigation to determine what actually happened.
Mark, based on your experience, I just want to tap into your thoughts around what would be going through the shooter's mind. And again, I think many of us have leapt to the conclusion that this was politically motivated. It may not be. We don't know yet. That's part of the investigation. But does a shooter go into a situation like this, again, based on your knowledge, knowing full well that their life may be ending, that they could be taken out by trying to assassinate a former president in this situation?
Yes. Again, one of the bad things is for us, as far as the investigation, the shooter's now deceased. But yes, most of these people, when they go into this situation, believe that they're going to be martyred. They know that their chances of getting away from this is extremely low. And obviously that was the case here. It's hard to say what they do, what they're thinking. Each one is different, though there is not patterns, but there's a behavior. In the early 90s, the Secret Service performed an exceptional case study on assassins and did in-depth study on the assassins. They even interviewed would-be assassins, and assassins such as Sirhan was interviewed, and they tried to develop an understanding of why people do this. They couldn't come up with a set pattern, no one type of person, no one mindset, but they developed what's called a behavioral threat assessment. And there are always in almost all cases, indicators out there. The shooter may have communicated to someone. They may have put a post out on social media. There was a certain behavior that was alarming to others. That's why we encourage individuals, citizens, when they see something or to hear something that's alarming to them, they need to report it to the authorities. But I got to believe this assassin, when he went into this situation, his mindset was he knew he wasn't coming out of it, and he made that commitment. And it's an almost impossible task to protect anybody. The Secret Service has done an excellent job. They're the best agency in the world that does this. Extensive training, learning, executing plans. They've done the most, like the Republican National Convention is an NSSE, and the Secret Service is in charge for a reason, because of their experiences. But if a person or persons are intent to cause harm to someone, it's going to be very difficult if they're willing to sacrifice everything, including the resources to help support that attack. It's going to be very difficult to stop. For example, here, the investigation is still undergoing. And as I stated, I'm very excited or anxious to see what it details. But you almost always have to give them the first shot. They do magnetometers, the perimeter, outer, middle, inner, perimeter. People are screened to go in. But as agents, you know that's not foolproof. You know it's not 100% effective, the magnetometers. So the shift, again, as I commented earlier, did an excellent job. They immediately responded to him. I mean, immediately they all covered him up. They started to communicate to themselves. They started to communicate, I'm sure, to the president, former president, assessing his injuries, assessing whether he could walk and mobile himself. As you saw, Hawkeye, the counter assault team came in and did exactly what they were supposed to do, make sure there's a clear area to get to the limo. If further attacks came, that was what the counter assault team was there for. The agents were not there to fight. They're there to cover and evacuate. In fact, you'll see in one of the videos, the younger blonde-headed agent with the glasses on the left side of the film, he actually reholsters his weapon. And I like to see that because he knows he's not there to fight. He's there to cover the president, make sure he's able to move, and then evacuate him out of the area to safety.
Just remarkable. I mean, it's just even still hard to believe as you're walking us through and describing the actions taken by the Secret Service. And now, of course, as you point out, a lot of soul searching and President Biden calling for a full independent investigation as to how this happened on Saturday night. I can't thank you enough for your time with us this morning. I hope to speak with you again. Mark Lowery is a former U.S. Secret Service agent.